ever said, I want to change something? Like, I want to lose weight, I wanted this, I wanted that, and you started to create change only to go back to where you were? How many have done this? Say I. What you're really after. Really, there are 3 beliefs you have to have first to have lasting change, and then there are 3 steps you have to take. So first, let's do the 3 beliefs, okay? simple. So simple. Seem insane. It's constantly. So, stand. So maybe you should write down a definition of a belief as well, because people belief is a feeling. It's a feeling. It's a feeling of so like this. There's a feeling of certain about something. A belief is nothing but a feeling of certainty about what something means. Yeah, jot it down. A belief is nothing but a feeling of certainty about what something means. So, let's take an idea like I'm sexy. Everybody say, I'm sexy. Go ahead. Oh, come on. Say it again like you mean it. Oh, come on. One more time. Okay, great. Raise your hand if what you said just now was not an idea. It wasn't just a phrase. You really believe what you just said, that you're sexy. Raise your hand if you really believe you're sexy. Keep your hands up if you really believe you're sexy. There is no question in your mind. You are flat sexy. That's just how it is. Okay? Okay, good. All right. All right. Now, drop your hand. Raise your hand if you are not sexy. If you are not sexy. Okay, where the hell are the rest of you people? Well, maybe I'm sexy, maybe I'm not. Okay? So those who know they're sexy and no one can convince you otherwise, raise your hand. If you absolutely know you're sexy, no one can convince you otherwise, you flat know you're sexy. That's just how it is. Facts are facts. Okay, baby? All right? All right, let's do an example. How about this lady right here? Yes, ma'am. Give her a microphone. What's your name, my dear?
Angela.
Angela. Angela, stand up so we can see if we agree with you. No, just kidding. Just kidding, just kidding. Now, Angela, tell me something. You believe, go ahead and stand up, seriously. You believe you're sexy, is that right?
Yes.
You're certain you're sexy, is that right?
Yes.
Great. How do you know you're sexy? Do you have a few references?
More than a few.
More than a few. So what she's telling us is she's got some legs under her table.
Legs, anyhow.
Right? And those legs are known as references or reference experiences. She's had certain experiences in life that when she's thought about them a long time ago, she used those to back up the belief that says I'm sexy. And now she's certain, it's solid. She may not even remember what those legs are anymore. She just believes she's sexy. But the way she got herself to believe it is she noticed certain things and assembled them as a way to back up that thought. Now she doesn't have to think about the legs, she just knows. So what are some of your references? Seriously, how do you know you're sexy?
Confidence.
Confidence. What gives you confidence?
Inner strength. Experience.
Experience. So that's what references are. What kind of experience makes you know you're sexy?
How I've handled myself in tough situations.
That's how you know you're sexy?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, that's what built the confidence.
What's a tough situation?
Right off the bat, I think of a work situation, maybe a political situation at work that I handled gracefully.
And so that meant you were sexy because you handled a work situation gracefully?
That's what created the confidence that makes me feel
Oh, okay. So, but I'm asking you what makes you feel sexy is what makes you confident that you're sexy, not confident you can handle a work situation. That was a good try, but that's not quite what we're going for. Okay.
Okay, I've been told.
Okay, you've been told. She's been told, ladies and gentlemen. By men?
Yes.
Okay. Has this happened more than once in your life?
Yes.
So she has many experiences of men telling her sexy. Have men ever lied to you before, though?
Yes.
Just kidding.
But not about the sexy part.
Oh, not about the sexy part. Okay, good. I agree with you. That's why I picked you. Now, so you've had men tell you. How else do you know you're sexy?
I feel it.
Okay, what makes you feel it? What experiences make you feel like you're sexy?
Working out.
Working out. So she works out, she looks at her body, and she compares it to references of women that in the culture have been promoted as attractive. And she compares it and says, yeah, I'm sexy. How many followers? I want you to notice most of us don't even know why we won't believe what we believe anymore. Because what's happened is the legs, we don't look down the legs, we look at the tabletop. And sometimes we develop beliefs that don't support us. In her case, this is an empowering belief. Have you ever been driving down the street and had a guy like honk his horn, like point at you? No? Are you sure? He was telling you to move, basically, was what I was going to tell you.
As a police officer.
As a police officer, very good. So the point of the matter is she's built enough references that she knows she's sexy. Could she have taken these same references, like men telling her she's sexy, and use it to back up a different belief, that men are scum and they'll say anything to get what they want? Could she have, some women are going, that's right. Okay? The truth of the matter is, here's the point. Experience is no guarantee of an empowering belief system. There are many very sexy people that don't feel very sexy. Because when they see the same evidence she sees or hears or feels, they discount it and they use it to back up a different belief, which is people are just being nice to me, or they're trying to manipulate me, or whatever. It's really important to realize this because lots of time people have experiences you would think would give them a good belief, but they've not assembled them into a good belief. She has. Give her a hand. Thank you very much for playing. Oh, a real hand. Come on, for God's sake, she's sexy. Oh, yes. All right, now, so I want you to get also, for example, how many of you have experiences, references, that if you wanted to, could back up the idea that people are basically mean and harsh, and if you give them half a chance, they'll rip you off? I'm not saying you believe that, but how many have plenty of experiences if you wanted to that could back up that belief? Raise your hand, say aye. How many of you have plenty of references to back up the opposite belief if you wanted to? The belief that says that people really are loving and caring, and if you really care about them, they'll care about you. How many have references to back that up? Say aye. Okay, then the question is, which one is true? Nope. Whichever one you assemble is what's going to be true for you. See, whatever you line up, because once you get certain about something, that's all you'll notice. That's all you'll see. Take my test right now. Look around the room as fast as you can, and look everywhere you can and see everything you can see that's brown, as fast as you can, anything that's brown. Brown. Look everywhere to find brown. Look behind you, look around, I'm going to give you a test. Brown. Anything else that's brown, look for brown. Quick, look for brown. Okay, close your eyes. Now with your eyes closed, now tell me everything you saw in the room that's blue. Raise your hand if you got a lot more brown in your head than blue right now. Raise your hand, say aye. Okay, open your eyes now. Look for blue. Look for blue. Everywhere you can look for blue. Quick, look for blue. Look for blue. Look for blue. Anywhere you can find blue, look for it. Look for it. Look around you. How many see a lot more blue this time? If you do, say aye. Why? That's right. Here's a little clue in life. In life, you get what you look for. Seek and you shall find. The problem is if you're looking for something lousy, you'll find it. Many of you saw something that was beige and you called it brown just so you could feel successful. Right? So what happens is if you're looking for something bad, even if it's not there, you'll shade it. If you're looking for something good, you'll shade it to get what it is that you think you want. So I want you to be clear about this because this process is so important. So once you develop a belief, it determines what you look for. How many follow this? Like what? So remember when you made those pictures in your head last night, and I had you bring the picture closer? Did it intensify the way you felt about it? Yes or no? So, change is never a matter of ability. Change is always a matter of motivation. What's so? I don't. I mean, it's the Jerry Springer show. It's not like Iowa. People say, well, you should have seen what I used to be like. Oh, because you're a pig before and now you're a little bit better. You're a small pig. It's okay. Right? Because it will move. That's the day you got enough leverage. Now, you don't want to wait for life to have to do that to you. They're in a place where they're not really happy, but they're not unhappy enough to do anything about it. And that's the worst possible place you can be. That's being in a rut. The second step to creating lasting change is you must interrupt the limiting pattern. Step 2 is you must interrupt the limiting pattern. Or scramble it. You might write the word scramble it. Think of it this way. Think of it as being like, how many of you listen to your music on compact discs, on CDs? Say I. So when, is that going to work? Yes or no? Yes or no? So the only way to create lasting change is to I used to think, so what an unfeeling person. But then after a while, I started thinking, God, she's right. besides getting the leverage. Right? Right? So that process is what we're talking about here. Change in physical. on. And I went, what? My job is you asked for it, you got it. All right, you're gonna get it. So this guy now, so the last step, step number 3 is this. Hi. Step number 3 is this. Lord, you feel happy. John, you see Bob's face? See, And it, how many follow this? I acted like I was crazy, freaking out.
always going to